Hey everyone, Jatt here. This week on Teamfight Breakdown, I wanted to highlight SK Telecom T1's amazing ability to thwart enemy engages. An example of this happened during SKT's game against Cloud9 in Week 2 of the group stage at Worlds 2016. Looking at the team compositions, C9 have a monstrous amount of initiation thanks to Kennen, Alistar, and Ryze. SKT have several champions with low mobility and high damage that struggle if the enemy team can get close, but thrive when they can operate at arm's length. Therefore, SKT need to poke carefully and play perfectly whenever C9 coordinate and engage. Let's get into it. Cloud9 knows that all of SKT's flashes are down from a previous fight, and they also see Duke's Jace in the bottom lane. Therefore, they see an opportunity to close the gap onto SKT with a Realm Warp from Jensen's Ryze. SKT see this though, and realize that they'll have no choice but to fight. So, they do everything they can to counter C9's initiation. Most of this fight is decided within the first couple of seconds, so we're going to slow it down and watch it from a few different perspectives. First off, both casting and reacting to Realm Warp requires extremely quick decision making. While Jensen's channeling the ability, SKT can see the location where C9 will teleport to. However, it's not until C9 are actually teleporting that SKT knows how many people are arriving. Once the animation shows that 3 opponents will be teleporting directly on top of Faker's Victor, all of SKT must react. Faker's the first to answer, and he places his gravity field perfectly. Instead of placing it in the middle of the Realm Warp location, he places it in between the location of the 3 teleporting C9 players. Then, knowing time is limited, he casts his Chaos Storm. Unfortunately for Faker, that's all he has time to do, because C9 arrive and obliterate him. Impact's Kennen channel slicing Maelstrom, and Smoothie's Alistar makes sure Faker isn't going anywhere with the Pulverize. By killing Faker, C9 basically got what they wanted out of the Realm Warp. What they didn't want was the instant response from SKT. Let's go back and look at what SK Telecom did. Wolf Zyra casts Grasping Roots as the Realm Warp's completing, and thanks to the travel time, it roots C9 just as they arrive. It also passes through far enough to snag Jensen with a root as he's approaching the fight. Wolf then casts Stranglethorns on top of the bulk of C9, which works out wonderfully, chaining directly from Faker's gravity field that's about to expire. And while Impact's Kennen managed to cast his ultimate, he was chain CC'd from that moment on until his death, missing the opportunity to use his Zhonya's Hourglass. To top off SKT's counter engage, Blank's Lee Sin uses Dragon Rage and kicks Impact backwards towards the rest of C9, knocking up and damaging Jensen and Sneaky in the process before getting away with a safeguard to bang. Essentially, C9 only had a fraction of a second to act after taking Realm Warp before SKT hit them with a flurry of counters. And this entire counter engage was accomplished by just 3 members of SKT, meaning they had plenty left in the tank for the rest of the fight. And while Impact died, Meteos' Olaf and Smoothie's Alistar also took a severe beating. This prompts Bang's Jhin to unleash his Curtain Call to pick them off. Bang hits Smoothie with his second and third shots, and while Jensen considers blocking the fourth, Smoothie takes the final bullet and falls, as it would have left Jensen with only a sliver of health. At this point, the fight is mostly lost for C9. With Impact and Smoothie down and Meteos low, a full retreat here would yield an easy Baron for SKT. So, C9 try to make the fight work with the final re-engage. But, as I mentioned before, SKT has a composition full of long-range, high-damage champions that excel when they can keep their distance. And unfortunately for C9, they used all of their best initiating tools earlier, meaning they're going to have an extremely poor time in the second half of this fight. SKT kite back as Jensen and Sneaky attempt to fight. Bang manages to get 2 auto attacks as well as a root onto Jensen, and this prompts Sneaky to Arcane Shift over the wall to support Jensen, and together they proc Blank's Guardian Angel. Ultimately though, this costs Sneaky his life as Duke's Jace quickly switches to Hammer form and smashes Sneaky to death with To the Skies. With 3 members of C9 dead, the rest retreat, and SKT take an easy Baron and full control of the game. Looking back, SKT only had a fraction of a second to craft a response to C9's aggressive initiation, and they countered it beautifully. Due to their excellent timing and layering of crowd control abilities, C9 ended up realm warping into their own demise. The extended fight that followed was a mistake by C9, they had little chance of success due to the numbers advantage and higher health pools on SKT. All told, SKT won the teamfight, took Baron, and went on to win the game against Cloud9 and secure their number 1 spot in Group B at Worlds 2016.